Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we just have an insanely beautiful Les Paul custom in a tobacco sunburst finish. But I saw this guitar and I was like, yes! I love the tobacco sunburst finish on these customs when they have the burst on the back and on the neck. Because around like 82, 83, that's when they start transitioning into a different type of tobacco finish, where they only have it on the front, and then they have like a natural mahogany back, and they have the natural mahogany neck, and they have the dark heel. I generally associate that with the 90s customs, but you start seeing that happen around the mid-80s. This is the way I prefer my tobacco customs to look. And it's not necessarily a rare color, but they just don't surface to market as often because people who have these are usually very happy with them. When I first started looking for an older Les Paul custom, this is exactly what I wanted, but I ended up settling for a 25-50th anniversary Les Paul because I simply couldn't find one. Being an early 80s custom, we have beautiful Tim Shaw PAF humbuckers in here, which are just like the cream of the crop, the best you can get next to a real PAF, as far as I'm concerned. Tim Shaws really are fantastic pickups, and they go for such a premium nowadays for a reason. These still have your traditional bridge and tailpiece. If this was made about a year or two later, it might have the 3-point adjustment bridge, but this one's a little bit early for that one. But it does have the awesome flip-out winding peg tuners that is an 80s thing only. These were first introduced on the Les Paul Artisan around 1979, but these are definitely a really cool 80s feature. The woods that make this up is a 3-piece maple top with a mahogany back, and we still have a maple neck on this one with an ebony fretboard. Maple necks were used from the transitional year of 1975 through about 1982. That's when they transitioned back into mahogany and the volute starts to disappear. So this is a really nice late example with the maple neck and volute yet. So if you're looking for just a really cool Les Paul custom, I highly suggest checking one of these out. The early 80s really is a beautiful time in Gibson history. But now for a little fun story about this one. Remember how I said people who have these guitars usually don't want to sell them, and that's why they don't show up very often even though they're not necessarily a rare finish? The guy who owned this guitar did not want to get rid of it. I actually ended up getting this one from a pawn shop. They had given the guy a loan on this guitar, and I guess something happened. He was unable to come back for his guitar. Pawn shop sold it. But I saw this eBay listing, and I instantly said, yep, gotta have that one. So I feel bad that the guy who loved this guitar had to let it go. But hey, now it lives forever on YouTube, and hopefully one day that man can be reunited with his Les Paul custom. When I had gotten this guitar, it was just absolutely filthy. I don't think the strings have been changed in about 10 years. There's a bunch of gunk on the fretboard. I mean, there's lots of scratches on this guitar anyways, but I actually took the time to polish this one a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm the best at polishing, but it's definitely in a much cleaner state now. And there's just certain guitars that you know are going to be awesome before you even play them. I loved the look on the listing, but as soon as I opened that case, I just knew this was a special guitar. And it really does have an awesome tone to it. This custom is all original, except for the strap buttons have been swapped out for Schaller strap locks. This might have had gold diamond posi lock buttons, maybe. It's kind of right at that brink when those started to come into existence. And the only other thing with this one is the output jack can be a little bit wonky. You might want to replace that if you're a gigging musician, but if you just sit at home, it might just be good enough to leave as is. To give you a better understanding of what I talked about, here's a humorous segment of me dancing with this guitar. Now that we've learned a little bit about this custom, let's go ahead and hear how it sounds. Alright, so this guitar, absolutely beautiful, but definitely well played. By no means is it collector's grade, it's more so player's grade. You've got some really nice aging to the finish on this one. It really matches the tobacco color. It's not super ambered, but it's a nice yellowness to it. You've got scratches on the face of the headstock just from string changes and whatnot. Your truss rod is perfectly adjustable yet. The original nut is still in place. You do have a little bit of finish checking kind of stemming from around the nut. That's not a crack or split in the neck or anything, but we'll take a closer look at that under Blacklight. Because the line that you're actually seeing is where the binding truly begins. And what's great about this example is you got a little bit of finish wear right here, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. How it does go a little bit underneath the finish. That's why sometimes on like black and white customs, a line will start to form. The frets on this guy definitely show some wear. I didn't notice any like dead spots or anything. This guitar still plays fabulously. I actually had to lower the action on it. So the guy who used to own this thing liked higher action. But it's definitely set up a little bit better now. But you might consider a professional setup because I'm not a luthier. This tobacco custom really has a nice look to it on the front, But when you do get it in the light just right, you can see there are quite a few picking scratches pretty much all over this guitar. It's nowhere near as clean as it likes to appear. Once you really start looking, that's when you can see stuff. There's a small area around here on the binding. I'm not really sure what it is. It's kind of like a ding. It almost just looks like there's something on the surface, but I was unable to clean that. Beautifully aged speed knobs on this one. I always love these aged speed knobs. They're so beautiful. Again, original PAFs. If I remember correctly, they're 1981 dated. Original bridge and tailpiece. The gold is fairly worn on these, but what is nice about Tobacco Customs is due to the golden finish, it always makes them appear perfectly gold anyways. So they definitely complement each other there. Back of the headstock, our serial number is 8294-1565. And you can see you've got some dings along the front where it kind of broke the finish a little bit, so you can see through to the maple neck, but no actual breaks, cracks, or repairs. Again, the awesome flip-out winding tuners. I just think these things are really cool. They're like little ninja stars. They're not faster than a speed winder, but if you don't have a speed winder on you, it's definitely helpful to have those. Something to go over here is this used to have a sticker on it right here. That actually polished away pretty well. That used to be a much more apparent shadow on the finish. But what that is sometimes back in the 70s and 80s, even sometimes today, shops would put their own sticker on it. You know, kind of like how a dealer puts their branding on a car. But they would put like a semi-permanent sticker on these so you always know where you purchased the guitar. If you ever get a guitar like that and you hate that sticker, yes, you can remove it, but there will always be a forever reminder that it was there, so sometimes it's not worth doing it. This example does have some stand wear along the edge of the neck. This isn't the kind that really destroyed the finish or made it turn a different color. It could also just be that it's in a dark part of the neck, but there's just a few marks on the side of the neck. Tiny little volute. And now the back of the neck. I am usually heavily against finish wear on the back of the neck, but if you missed it, there is two areas right here where the finish of the clear coat kind of chipped off. What's nice about the tobacco color, once again, is it blends in with this now kind of dirty maple neck, so it's almost like it's not even there, so it's not as much as a visual eyesore as if it was on a Sunburst custom or something. Again, you have a few light areas of wear along the side of the neck as well. But the most important for me is the one that I see while playing, and there is none of that on that side of the neck. So that's always a plus. The back of the guitar actually has a little bit of movement to it. I mean, that's actually pretty nice. It's not necessarily a flamed figuring pattern, but you got a little bit of ribbon to it, which is always nice to see. But similar to the front, you get it in the light, you can start seeing all this buckle worming. It's definitely not as clean as it wants to appear in photos. It's got quite a lot of abuse to the back, but at least the finish was never broken. That's always a big thing for me. I don't care if there's some buckle worming, but once it becomes an official rash, and in my opinion rash means the finish was broken, that's when it starts to affect the value more so, in my opinion. You've got the original electronics in here. Now when I took that ashtray cover off, it looks like maybe the pickups were taken out of this guitar and put back in at one point in time. The solder definitely looks reflowed to me, but it's definitely got an original pair of Tim Shaw's back in it now. The sides of the guitar show pretty much the exact same type of wear. As you see on the front and the back, it's got some impression marks. It's just a well-used but well-loved custom. None of this is what I would call excessive wear. It might be a little bit more worn than some people are looking for, but I always judge a guitar based on how much finish is literally just missing or broken. Buckle worming, it happens. If you use a slide or you play with a ring, yeah, that's going to happen on the neck too. But this guitar was definitely well cared for. Now we'll take a look under Blacklight. everything is looking good on this one, but we'll go ahead and go over it anyways. The front finish has a nice ghastly green glow, as do the knobs. No matter how many times I see that, I always love the glowing of the vintage knobs. It looks so cool. Take a look around the side of the guitar here. Here you can see there's some more stand rash on the bottom. It's not really apparent in regular lighting situations, but it is there. Got a little bit more right there as well, but the finish itself is all intact. Here's how you can prove that none of the finish is broken on the back as well. It's just all worming marks. Everything's looking good here as well. Move up the neck. Once again, you've got those two small areas there. Then you've got that small area right here. But the side you see while you're playing is clean. There is another tiny little finish chip right there. We'll take a look at that finish checking line that just outlines where the nut is. As you can see, no breaks, cracks, or repairs there. And no repairs to the guitar itself. And as we discussed earlier, the shop sticker, it covered the finish so it didn't age as much in that area. And again, the finish wear along the top of the headstock. So this one definitely passes the Blacklight test. Nothing much to go over on this one. It's just a really nice Les Paul custom. This guitar retains its original Generation 3 Gibson chainsaw case. If you've never had one of these, yes, they are big, clunky cases, but they are very protective. The only downside to these is if you're storing a large collection in them. They do take up a lot of room. But all three metal latches are still present. There's one on the back there. And the Gibson badge is also still there. Those like to fall off. But this is a really nice version of this case because it even still has the lid ribbon. That is even more rare to see on a Gen 3 than it is on a Gen 1 or 2 because you just never see the Gen 3s with their lid ribbons. And it's mainly because you can see even right now it's kind of pulling on it, wanting to break it. They usually don't last too long. But this case, it's in great shape, beautiful brown interior. You might think brown on brown would be a bit much, but hey, it actually works for this one. If you think you might be interested in being the next owner of this awesome Les Paul custom in a gorgeous tobacco sunburst finish, feel free to check out that link in the description that will take you to the for sale ad. Thank you troglodytes for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.